So you send me the link so I can send it. Well, good night to you. I know you've been waiting for me, and I've been waiting for you too. It's a very good Wednesday evening, and I'm hoping that you had a very good Wednesday. Yeah? Lots of things have happened from the last time we spoke to now, and some are very, very disheartening. But here's what I want you to do very quickly: call up a friend, call up your neighbor, call up your mommy, your daddy, your grandmother, even some of the trolls that we usually have, call them up and tell them advancing the cause is on. We're on. We're going to be talking big tonight. Tonight we have another powerful young man who's going to be our guest this evening. And so I want to ask you to just call everyone up so that we can talk about what's happening in Guyana, what the PPP are trying to do with our people, and how we're pushing back. This country belongs to all of us. Every single one of us, this country belongs to. And so we cannot allow one group of people, one cabal of people, an installed group of people to push us in a corner. We can't allow that. The proceeds, the resources, the monies, the everything in this land, in this country, belong to us. Everything here belongs to us. Just the same way we're telling Venezuela, Essequibo belongs to us. We are going to say to Parrot Jagdio and Irfan Ali and all of them, Guyana belongs to us. Every single one of us. So call up your friends, call up your neighbors, tell them advancing the cause is on. We don't want to have to start this conversation and then we go and then we have to repeat what we said. We want, when we're starting this conversation, all of you, everybody. So call them up, tell them advancing the cause is on. And while you're doing that, just share the link while you're doing that. While you're doing that, share the link. Just share the link while you're doing that. So, very quickly, let me say happy birthday to all of those persons who would have celebrated their birthdays from last Wednesday to now. Happy birthday to you. I know we had 100 100 years old, we had a 98 years old, and we had, I noticed, a 75 years old, and then there was a 25 years old. So to all those persons who would have celebrated their birthdays, happy birthday to you. May God continue to bless you, and may your lights continue to shine as you inspire others to do what is right. You know, in this country, we call ourselves Guyanese. It's only the PPP who tried to separate us many times and continue to divide us and to tell us you're Indian and you're black and you're Amerindian and you were, you know, the PPP who try to do that, and then they come with this disguise about one Guyana, but we ain't got no one Guyana, and you know that, and I know that. We don't have any one Guyana. But outside of that, I want to extend it to all those who would have lost their loved ones. We had quite a few persons who lost loved ones during, well, starting from Thursday to now. We want to extend to you our sincerest condolences. I pray that God would grant you comfort even at this time. It's not easy to lose a loved one. And you know what? We saw just 2 days ago a husband and a wife who were killed in a tragic accident just Monday morning. Both of them died. I'm saying to you folks, look, we have to be a little more careful on the road. You have to be careful on the road. We cannot afford to lose our people. We cannot afford to lose our people. We already have a small population. Take your time on the roads, please. And you know, when I talk about this, I'm wondering, where are the members of the Guyana Police Force? Where are the members of the Guyana Police Force? During the day, you will see them all around the place, hiding behind a bus shed, hiding behind some bush, hiding behind somewhere, park the police vehicle in some little corner, and then dashing out at you with their cameras. Where are these people early in the mornings? Where are these folks during the nights? Where are these folks on weekends? You must be on the road. We can't afford to be losing people like that. Now, children are now left without both parents. You know, sisters have lost a brother, a sister. We cannot continue to do that. And then on the quarantine, we had another accident where 2 young men lost their lives. Too many blood on our roads, too many accidents. And then when they have the accidents, we got the fires competing with the accidents. Today's only the 9th of January, and we already would have had 16 fires. Lives have been lost in those fires too. We can't afford to have that. And so, folks, let's say to our people, be careful on the road. And you know, this is happening because too many persons have not gone through the driving classes. They bought their licenses, and so they don't know how to operate on the roads. And for some, they are just reckless. And for others, they feel as if they are above the law. And so we have, is it Abel Sitaram? Abel Sitaram here with us. Good night to you. We're happy to have you because we want you to be here so we can educate you. We don't want you to be jumping here, there, and everywhere like a frog. Stay one place and you'll be educated. But, you know, outside of that, I want to say to us, I want to remind you that every time the PPP get into office, we have these kinds of confusion in Guyana. Every time the PPP is in office, every single time, you check it, every time they're in office. Way back when Dr. Jagan was president, when he was opposition leader, even then we were having fires because you know what they used to do? They used to burn the cane fields. So it seems as if this fire and death and so on is a part of the culture of the PPP. And this kind of wickedness, we've got to beat this kind of wickedness out. We cannot continue to allow this kind of wickedness to continue to prevail in this land. And so these drivers, we have to take them down. We have to slow down the speed. Be careful. And so to everyone who's watching, I want to say good night, good night, good night to you. We're going to be talking. Share the live. Abel, share the live. If you find Kane, share the live with Kane too. So just share the live with everyone, and we're going to be talking. Those of you who are watching us from New Jersey, and those who are watching us from Paris, and those who are watching us from right here in Sophia and East the Penitence and all over, good night to you. And it's a pleasure having you here every Wednesday night. But quickly, let me share some more with you. School has just reopened, and many of our schools are not ready for the reopening of schools. And there's a minister of education, rather than addressing the issues, you know what she always sets out to do, and y'all know by now: abuse. I want to say to her, we are not the American ambassador, so don't abuse us. We're not the American ambassador, so don't abuse us. If there's an issue, go get it fixed. The time you take to spend on Facebook to make yourself a clown, fix the issues in the schools. So yesterday, St. Agnes's Primary School had to be closed. Sewage problem, the school had to be closed. And that problem is a problem from ever of old, every 2 mornings. But you know what they're doing? All they're doing is patching this thing to give their friends some more monies. They're patching it every minute, they're patching it. So yesterday, they had to send the children and the teachers home. We had some issues on the Essequibo coast. High grass or tall grass, water issues, toilets can't be flushed. We got same issues at Peters Hall Primary. We have issues on the quarantine. We have issues in Linden. Just yesterday, a teacher slipped and fell on the stairway. Both of her hands are broken. From the arm right down to her fingers are in cast, both hands. Now, what do we say? What do we say to this? I saw Nigel London there at which one of the primary schools? I can't remember the primary school, but he was there showing us what is happening at this primary school. And then we got Amelia's Ward Primary School. So 3 schools in Linden that have been highlighted. And you know what? That is wickedness on the part of the PPP government, because it's Linden, Region 10. That's total wickedness, vindictiveness, and slackness, coupled with incompetence. That's what we're having. But we're going to go right into our talk for this evening. Chanel Smith, Daniels, good night to you. Touch Priya, call her up, tell her advancing the cause is on. And make sure when you call her, tell her to bring Andrea on too, because Andrea is our bulldog now as well. So call them up and tell them advancing the cause is on. Get those schools fixed, the issues they're fixed, because I am going to be dealing with them. So let's go right into, let's bring our guest on. He's no stranger to these kinds of forum. Very, very qualified young man who has no problem speaking out against what is not right. He's speaking the truth. He's calling them out. And, because of the way he stood, they sought to deprive him of his promotion. But promotion or no promotion, you can't take away from persons what God would have blessed them with. You can't take that away from them. And so, operator, could you bring on the Honorable Retired Assistant Commissioner of Police, CCH, DSM, Mr. Paul Slow. How are you doing, Paul?
I am doing well, thanks. I'm fine, thanks.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you, my dear.
To all the viewers, yes. Happy New Year.
I'm tempted to put you in the category of social media influencers, but I don't have to put you there, because you've always been an influencer. You've always been an inspiration. And because of your the talent you have and the skill that God would have blessed you with to inspire and influence people, some other people are afraid of that, and they get scared when Paul Slow speaks, and they try to do all kinds of things. But Paul, tell us. I noticed the case that they had there against you. Oh, and Paul Slow this, and that's what the PPP does anyway. They try to discredit anybody who doesn't go in line with them. And we can go way back from when Paul Slow was assistant commissioner, when you had the run-in with Gajraj there, and he tried to dictate to you what you should be doing. So since then, they got their eyes on Paul Slow, and we ain't doing nothing. Paul Slow, he is there right there. But Paul, tell us about that case that was being dragged all the time, dragged.
Well, perhaps I'll give you your viewers a little background. You were a teacher I had as an instructor, I don't we think we can assume that all the viewers are aware of the background. So very quickly, I was the chairman of the Police Service Commission 2018 to 2021. In 2020, following the change of government, the president Irfan Ali had a meeting with me, and he wanted some people in the force promoted. Because the Police Service Commission is responsible for promoting ranks in the Guyana Police Force, from inspector to assistant commissioner. He mentioned names, and I advised him that those persons had pending disciplinary matters, and therefore one of the rule of the Police Service Commission is that once you have a pending disciplinary matter, you cannot be promoted. So that was that. That was in September of 2020. Now, the Police Service Commission met to consider persons for promotion at the end of 2020, and we met for the first time on the 23rd of December 2020. The very night following the meeting, I was asked to call the president, and I reluctantly did so. And the reason why I was reluctant to do so is because of regards to the conversation we had in September and the fact that the board, the Police Service Commission sat on that day to consider shortlisting people for promotion. I had a suspicion that the call at what he wanted to talk about the promotion. So, and I have said repeatedly, the discipline in me, the discipline got the better of me. So I reluctantly made the call. And as I had anticipated, that is what the call was about. And when I told him again that those persons that he wanted to be promoted had pending disciplinary matters, the man fly off and the man raise his voice and want to know, he fly in a rage, why the matter is pending so long and all this everything. And I explained to him, and he fly off on an answer. Now, the very next day, the 24th of December 2020, Robeson Ben, the Minister of Home Affairs, that same Robeson Ben, the Brock-up Ben, he sent a missive to the man who was carrying out the functions of the Commissioner of Police, Nigel Api, with a list of persons that he wanted charged criminally for various offenses. Not investigated, he wanted these persons charged criminally for a set of offenses. All the offenses highlighted related to the election period there. One officer was to charge this boy who is dead now, Cooper. He was on the west coast of Berbice when they had the Henry Boys incident there with people on the road, and they felt that he did not do enough to remove the people off the road, so he was to be charged with dereliction of duty. One officer was alleged assaulted diplomats at the Ashman building in Atfield Street, and he was to be charged for assault. Imagine that they were alleging that a senior police officer assaulted diplomats. And it was clear from the when we got the correspondence that the intention was to prevent those persons from being promoted. Mm-hmm. And we decided we're going to disregard that. We are the commissions are independent, and we're not going to bother with that. Now, we met again on and what surprised me then on the 23rd is that the president seemed to have knowledge of the persons who were shortlisted, because that was a confidential document. It was a work in progress, and even the president should not have had access to that document. We later discovered, and listen to this carefully, we later discovered in an affidavit filed by the now Assistant Commissioner Calvin Brutus, he was a senior superintendent then, that the confidential police promotion shortlist was leaked to him by a confidential source at the Police Service Commission. That is what he said in an affidavit. He swore and said that. He swore and said that. And of course, as old policemen, we investigated and we knew, we got to know we got to suspect who that person was, because it's interesting to note that we had promotions in 2018, we had promotions in 2019. There was no leakage, and in the latter part of 2020, there was a change in the police secretary of the Police Service Commission. The person was there, Miss Stevens. She was removed. And Jaigabin Jai Singh, who had been removed previously, came back. And I don't think it was a coincidence that the promotion shortlist was leaked on that day. Anyhow, when we were sitting at the end of December, around the 31st, to finalize the promotion list, the Brutus moved to court. The High Court, he was joined by Shiv Prasad Baka, Shavan Juvita, Prem Narayan, and Ravindra Stanley. In other words, they moved to get the promotion stopped. The Chief Justice issued an order that the status quo in the force must remain. It means that we could not have gone ahead with the promotion. Now, that's the end of December. They tried all sort of thing. The Attorney General, when he appeared on behalf of the state at the first hearing of that matter, he said that he wanted time to talk to the parties to try to resolve the matter, because he didn't look good that the policemen were having an issue with the Police Service Commission before the court. And we had 2 meetings, and I made clear, and the Service Commission made clear, that we're not going to be blackmailed into promoting people who are not eligible. And I said then, I remember very well, that we are not going to enter into any discussion when they have pending matters in the court. That amounted to blackmail. And anyhow, the matter dragged on and dragged on. Then on the 19th of May, 2021, Mr. Clinton Conway and some other former members of the police force were arrested. But let me tell you why. Back in 2019, the then Commissioner of Police, Mr. Leslie James, called 5 of us, myself, Mr. Conway, Mr. Whitaker, Mr. George Fraser, and Mr. Mark Gilbert, and asked us to revise the police force, to assist in revising the police force standing order. We agreed. No other discussion we never had. This was the commissioner and his senior management team made that request. We appeared before all of them, and we started to work on the revision of the standing order. Later, as we were doing that work, we were advised by the person who was in charge of that unit there, the special project unit, that a decision has been made by the force administration to pay us a stipend on the days that we work. So we agreed, and we started to get a stipend. On the 19th of May 2021, they suddenly decided they arrested Mr. Conway, they arrested the others. I was abroad at the time, and on a trumped-up charge of conspiracy to commit fraud in respect to the same payment received for the revision of the standing order. And what is interesting, and I'm saying this, the evidence clearly shows that what they wanted to do then was to get rid of the Police Service Commission, because they arrested Conway and others on the 19th of May. The Chief Justice was to continue to hear this matter on the 22nd of May. So just 3 days before they arrested persons. Now, another interesting thing to note, why I'm saying, without any fear of contradiction, that the purpose of this charge was to get us off of the Police Service Commission, is because the very day, the 19th of May 2021, Prime Minister Mark Phillips wrote to myself and Mr. Conway for us to show cause why he should not advise the president to remove us from the Police Service Commission. Let me check.
Paul, before you go further, I don't know. This guy, Mark Phillips, he doesn't understand his role.
Well, let me say this.
Why he always have to appear with some script that is given to him?
Well, exactly. The script was given to him.
Sam Hines, worse than Sam Hines.
The Constitution says that to get the person off of the commission, the Prime Minister has that constitutional role to initiate the process. So again, this matter was filed in the Georgetown Magistrate Court on the afternoon of the 19th of May 2021. On the very afternoon, the very evening, the Prime Minister Mark Phillips is sending to us letters to say that we should show cause why you should not advise the president to have us removed from the Service Commission. Well, we responded to our lawyers. We responded, he sent us a second show cause letter, and to come to the case now. So the matter started to drag through the court, it dragged through. But and let me read what the charge is for those discerning. All of you are discerning people. Let me read what the charge, the particulars of the charge. And people will know that whatever you allege in a particular or in the particulars of the charge, that is what you have to prove. So here what we were charged for. That between Friday the 1st of March 2019 and Tuesday the 7th of July 2020 at the Guyana Police Force Headquarters, Ivlery, Kingston, Georgetown, in the Georgetown Magisterial District in the county of Demerara, conspired together and with other persons unknown to defraud the Guyana Police Force of $10,056,000 Guyana dollars by paying Paul Slow, Clinton Conway, Claude Whitaker, George Fraser, and Mark Gilbert they said $10,056,000 without complying with the proper procedures, purportedly to do a review of the standing order, which had already commenced in July 2018 and concluded in March 2019 by the Strategic Planning Unit of the Ghana Police Force. That was the allegation, that we conspired with everything. And let me tell you this, they called 24 witnesses during the course of this trial. At one stage during the trial, and listen to this carefully, people, listen to this carefully. The matter was instituted indictably, and then they applied under the Administration of Justice Act of 1978 to have summary disposal. Indictably means they wanted to go to the judge and jury, which we wanted. But then when you apply and the summary disposal is granted, it means that the magistrate will hear and conclude the matter. So summary disposal was granted. Now the law requires that once the summary disposal is granted, you have what we call disclosure. The prosecution or the prosecutors, they have to present to the defense all the statements and what evidence they intend to use so that you can prepare your defense. They made disclosure, and during the course of the trial, it became evident that they suppressed a lot of information that would have been favorable to us, the defendant. Now, the trial proceeded, and they were making reference to documents like the vouchers and standing orders, and those things were not disclosed. So the lawyers representing us objected. You cannot be talking about documents that were not disclosed. The magistrate upheld the objections and told them they cannot make reference to those documents because they were not disclosed. At that stage, after the trial had commenced, they then sought to introduce those documents. And the magistrate told them, no, that is not going to be allowed. And let me tell you what they did. In the first instance, they sued the magistrate. The prosecutor, Jeffers and Soku, sued. They filed a statement of claim. They sued the magistrate in her personal capacity because she decided not to allow additional disclosure at that time. When that, they tried to get a stay to prevent the magistrate from continuing. They did not get that. Then the matter continued. Then they moved with a fixed date application against the magistrate again to have her discontinue the hearing, and that did not work. So the end of the day, after they presented a case, the magistrate ruled, as we had expected, that there was no case to answer. The lawyers made no case submissions. The submissions were upheld, and the magistrate made a long ruling, a well thought out written ruling, because I suspect the magistrate anticipated that that might not have been the end of the matter. And on Monday, that's the day before yesterday, we learned that the DPP has appealed the decision of the magistrate. And,
wow.
That was yeah, so basically that is a quick synopsis of all that transpired.
I tell you what, these folks are something else. These folks are something else. So they, just the other day, when we had the issue with Vera, they ain't bringing that one to the floor, but they're appealing the decision of the magistrate. Now, you see, I want our viewers to understand that the PPP are out to target anybody who doesn't fall in line with them. So whether you're Afro-Guyanese or Indo-Guyanese, if you don't fall in line with them, they're out to target you and to discredit you. But their cronies, they're withdrawing all the cases. And let me speak about the case against the accusation that was brought against what's his name? Attorney Singh, Carl Singh's son, when he spat on that young lady. Up to a day like today, we can't hear anything from the DPP. The DPP did not do anything for that matter to come to light. You know, they did not recommend that the charges go through.
Well, more than that, if you remember, private charges were brought against him, and the DPP discontinued those private charges, criminal charges. Yeah.
Yes, we got the Dharamlal issue. And what happened? They got the girl to say nothing never happened. But how come nothing never happened when she herself went to the house and she told them what was there. And then when they took her there, she said, oh, the place rearranged. If nothing never happened, how you know the place rearranged? Huh?
Yeah.
How you know
But
the place? So these people are a wicked set of people, and we have to continue to let people know. We have to continue to expose them for who they are. They are no good, including Mark Phillips.
well, Mark Phillips, more than that, Mark Phillips, I have got to seek advice from my attorneys. Mark Phillips swore to an affidavit, right? In this in the matter where I had sued, I took the government because of the unlawful suspension of the Police Service Commission. Mark Phillips, the Prime Minister, swore to an affidavit to say that the meeting that I alleged took place on the 16th of September between myself and the president never took place. And there's a meeting that Mark Phillips swore to an affidavit, and we have the evidence that the president himself acknowledged that the meeting took place. The president made a public release on the 31st of May, I think it was, 2021, acknowledging the meeting between us. Of course, he differed with the content or the context of what was discussed. But the president is saying, yes, we had a meeting. And Mark Phillips swore to an affidavit to say that that meeting never took place. A chap without no honor for former chief of staff and a military man is a disgrace.
More than a disgrace. But Paul, I'm happy that you were able to bring our viewers up to speed with this and to let them know of the most recent development that we're having. But Paul, we got to talk a little more. Look at this issue with the Brigham fire. We had that fire there at Brigham. I don't know if the operator has that one, but we had the fire there at Brigham where they said that some prisoner by the name of Troy Green, he lighted something from in his cell and he threw it out somewhere. Some rigmarole story they told us, but almost the entire Brigham police station was gutted in fire, except for that new part there. I think that was the lockups part, wherever it was. That was the only part that was saved. Now, I am seeing the president now saying that we building some 12-story building they're putting up now for Brigham police station. I mean, yes, while we want to have the police station rebuilt, I mean, 12 stories is where we going, Paul. 12 stories.
Let me just tell you that the first thing when this fire occurred, October 2021, I think it was, the first thing they said that they were intellectual authors before this man Green was charged.
Yes.
Robeson, then the Minister of Home Affairs, and the President, they went public to say that they were intellectual authors. They were pointing fingers to persons overseas as the person behind the fire. The president said, when I say these things, I like to do the research and repeat exactly what they say. The president said the following morning or the very evening of the fire that they want to get overseas persons to assist with this investigation because they were so convinced that they had overseas intellectual artists. The next morning, I was shocked to see they had heavy-duty machinery in the compound removing the debris. So even before, so it was clear that they never intended to have any proper investigation done in this matter. The fire occurred this Saturday midday afternoon time. And by the next morning, you had front end loaders and all of those things removing the debris from the fire. So what investigation you are going to do at that stage? And then all of a sudden, this man Green with a sponge lighter and a wire and a lighter. That was the thing. I don't know if I have them in the correct sequence.
And a piece of wire.
A piece of wire, a sponge and a lighter. He is the one who is said to have set fire to the place. I think he was charged for the arson, and we don't know what is going on there. But then again, as you rightly you made the point, there's need for that place to be, or for the bill to be built over. But they're now saying that some of the offices that are at police headquarters, Ivlery, will be moved to this new structure when the time comes. And a friend told me today, watch out for what is going to happen to Ivlery. He says that is prime real estate. And then the next thing you know, you're going to hear that some developer as if to develop some hotel or something like that. Watch out. That is what people are saying.
Well, Paul, you really read my mind, because that was the same thing I was saying when I saw this turning. I said, wait, 12 stories as a skyscraper we building in Guyana. They ain't got no Caribbean territory that got that. I ain't even sure that in the US a police headquarters got 12 stories. But I mean, things are happening, and we calling that what? Development, quote
Development,
unquote,
yes,
development.
yes.
But the thing is, we ain't even got enough police to man the stations. So even if we bring across from Eve Leary, we still ain't got enough. We're doing with 12. But we understand how they got to thief the money, eh? You got to build big, tall buildings so you can thief the monies. And we know that they got plenty people can get drawbacks from there. But the other thing that I'm looking at, Paul, is this 12 stories going to be a tourist attraction? I mean, I got to add some humor to this thing. And while I'm looking at the 12 stories, like you rightfully said, I said, well, Eve Leary moving straight across there under prime seawall land for hotel. So somebody can come there and they can sell and they can put up a hotel down there. I mean, how do we benefit? How much do we benefit from all of these things? And the PPP really feel that they're writing all these storybooks that nobody never read before. But while they are writing, they don't understand that we already would have read those books. We answered the questions, we did spelling, and now we're looking at writing the composition. So our composition is almost concluded, because we already know what's going to happen to the lands coming from Eve Leary. These people are just a wicked set of people. It's just like what they did at Mocha. Friday last, we observed the first anniversary for the destruction that was created in Mocha there, where 35 families were left homeless. And if you watch what is happening on KNView there, and the span of space that you have before you get to the road that they said the people living there would have hambugged development or prevented development. We still waiting to see, but it's shame make they do nothing yet with the plot of land. It is left there and grass, everybody growing on it. But you can see what they can try to do a couple more mornings from now. And all of these issues are just issues and attempts of wickedness that they and injustice that they're perpetrating against Black people. And let me say this here, because in the US, if you're not white, you're Black. So in Guyana, Black people, and this covers a wide range of persons. The PPP are a wicked set of people. But I'm hoping that when they build the 12 stories, that they make it as modern as ever. That's one. And two, I'm hoping that they're going to use the 12th story to put binoculars there so that they can fight crime and they can resolve crime issues when crimes are committed, that they can resolve those and people can get their chains back and they can get their purse and they can pinpoint those persons who are committing those crimes. I'm hoping that when they're building, they can build with that kind of design. But these people are just crazy. The other thing I looked at, Paul, was the fires that we're having in this country. Every 2 mornings is a fire. What are we doing really? I mean, This is the new Dubai of the Caribbean. Every minute is a fire. And before the fire police get there, the place already engulfed in flames. Nothing can be done because the holes that they're going with, it got more holes and more water leaking out of those holes than what the nozzle putting out. What are we doing really?
Well, it's sad. It's sad. All the fires that you're having for this year alone, I think they have about a dozen fires.
16
right, for this year. This is the 10th day of the year, and we've had 16 fires, and 2 persons have lost their lives in that fire. Not to forget that even the last week or the last part of 2023, you had that mother and her 2 children at Linden who died in that fire. So something is definitely wrong, and I know they have been saying that people have to be more careful, which is true. But you have to have a proper response when these fires are reported. You have to have a response which will ensure that buildings are saved, lives are saved. But as I said, it is really, really sad to see the number of fires that are occurring in Guyana.
It is so sad. But Paul, we mentioned Troy Green. Is whatever happened to Troy Green though? Is he in prison?
Well, I don't know. Again, these things, I have been saying on my program repeatedly, when this incident occurs, the police cooperate. I was calling it propaganda unit. They splash that this person is charged and all of that. And there's no follow-up. And sometimes I blame my friends and others in the media because they do not pursue these matters. You don't hear anything about these things. You hear that the Green was charged. And then they claim that he had given me a confession statement, which he denied. And you don't know if the inquiry, if is the preliminary inquiry into that matter is continuing. And one would have thought that the fact that such an iconic structure, the Breakdown Police Compound, was destroyed in that manner, that they would have updated, they would have kept the public updated as to what what's going on. But nothing, but you shouldn't be surprised because 5 soldiers died there last year. You're not hearing anything too? You're not hearing anything about it?
I want us to finish off this boy Troy thing. I am saying, if Troy is in prison, like I noticed the Attorney General abusing going on, that all these magistrates are recusing themselves from this elections case. But why you're not pursuing Troy Green's case? Why is it, like you mentioned earlier, Paul, why is it that you remove all this stuff from Breakdown Police Station? You won't even allow the people to come there to test, to check, to do nothing. You claim that there were intellectual authors who planned that fire. Why you didn't allow testing and all of that to happen? Why you remove all this stuff from there? And then you got Troy now languishing in prison, if at all he's in prison.
Well, see, the whole thing with that is that it appears as though the only evidence they have is this alleged confession statement from Green, because obviously there can be no scientific evidence because the debris was removed the next morning after the fire. So I don't know where is Green. They're not telling us whether Green is still in prison on remand, whether Green has secured bail, whether the Green has ripened. We are hearing nothing at all on this matter.
But I figure Green probably getting a master's degree by now. I feel so. Maybe he'll get a doctorate by the time they're ready to lose him. But it's disgusting that the Guyana police force is not doing anything about these issues. And I want to ask the Attorney General, ensure that Green's case is brought to the front so that we would know exactly whether somebody gave Green this thing to light the fire, or whether Green is going to say, I don't know anything about it. I am innocent. They're charging me wrongfully. Allow Green's case to come to the front. Just the same way you're fretting about the elections case where you charge Carol Smith, Joseph, and you charge Valder Lawrence and Mingo and Lowenfield and all these other people. Bring this boy on. You must argue for this boy on come up too.
Well, I said today on my program, speaking out, that the Attorney General, Anil, correct name, Mwabir Anil Nandlal, SC, MP, I like to pause so to make sure people understand what his designation is what I call it selective outrage. He talk about the same matter that you're referencing there. It's a travesty that these matters are being delayed so long. I had to point out other travesties to him today. The fact that Dharmlal was not charged for that rape and other offenses, that's a travesty. I told him the fact that the most serious corruption allegation in this country was made against the vice president. I'm talking about the Sugate, and no investigation. No, that is a travesty. And I pointed out, said, look, they had the paper shorts murder, where a policeman alleged that $30 million were paid to the man in charge of major crime. And what? Nothing has happened. And he doesn't see those things as travesty. I told him too. I mentioned it on the program. I'm sure they're going to hear, because they monitor. You have a chief justice and a chancellor acting. They're not moving to conform. Even the head of the Caribbean Court of Justice comment on it. That is a travesty. The DPP charging people without evidence. The courts have so ruled, have so pronounced that people are going to court charge for more than all of that. And when they get to the no case submission, the case gone. And that is a travesty. People spending 4 or 5 years on remand in jail, and then there is no evidence. This case with us, I said the same thing. And I told him another travesty is that the Justice Gino Prasad on the 24th of March ruled that the president violated the Constitution when he suspended the Police Service Commission on the 16th of June 2021. That's a travesty because the judge says that his actions were ultra-virus. The Constitution was arbitrary, unlawful, null, void, and of no legal effect. That is a travesty. So he shouldn't be selective in his outrage in this matter. You had a police officer, Krishnanath Ramana, arresting a lawyer because she advised her client of his right to remain silent. That is a travesty, Mr. AG. So don't be selective. If you're going to call out travesties, go down the line. I could give you a lot more.
But Paul, I was just going to say we can give you a lot more. Ronald Waddell.
Yes.
Kazarki. You remember Kazarki?
Yes, I remember Kazaki well, who died mysteriously in the hospital.
You know, we got the boy Bacchus, or in Boston, the Headley boy from the East Bank, the Henry boys. So aren't all of these, what you call these? Or because it's a different kind of people.
They look like that way. No, when they are in Boston case, only yesterday was making some inquiries. Again, they don't tell you what is going on. And I learned that the preliminary inquiry into that matter was concluded and that he's committed, the policeman is committed to stand trial in the Essequibo High Court. Somebody told me that yesterday. And then I learned yesterday as well that with the Quindin Bacchus murder, where Christophe de Nabriga, I think the policeman who is charged, that matter came up in court yesterday. I think it should continue today in I think it's the Vigilance Magistrate Court or Kovanjan. I'm not sure which one, but it's a court in the East Demerara Ministerial District. But the point is that they are not telling you anything about these matters. They make big fanfare, right? Big fanfare, person's charge. Because I want to draw to person's attention that when the police talk about, especially this current crop of senior police officers, when they talk about success in terms of criminal matters, they're talking about you have a murder, someone is arrested, someone is charged. That is success for them. They don't follow up whether the person is convicted or not. They don't care about conviction, right? And arrest is easy. As we have seen, somebody go the usual suspects, they arrest the persons, and for them, the matter has been solved because a person has been arrested and charged. A few years down the road, the matter is dismissed, and you don't hear anything further about it.
You don't hear anything else about it. But Paul, I know that our time is catching up with us, but let's spend some time to talk about these inquiries that we've been having. Millions upon millions of dollars are being spent on these inquiries. I know we had the inquiry for the elections, the whole fiasco there with the 2020 elections. But we hearing anything about these inquiries? We heard. I noticed one of our viewers there talking about the mysterious escape of Roy and Smalley Williams. Well, that too is a travesty. But these things sometimes you have to make fun of these things, but they're serious issues. We got that inquiry. We got the inquiry with that's the elections one, and we got the inquiry that we just had concluded with the Mahdia fire. But these inquiries are not made public. We got the inquiry that we had with the guy from Linden, from that bauxite company, where the entire bulldozer here and the entire bulldozer toppled over. You had an inquiry, but you're not hearing anything about the reports. Is it that these reports are the possessions of the president and he must keep it to his chest? We don't hear anything about these inquiries.
Now, when you have this commission in recent times, my experience has been that once they have these commissions of inquiries, it's just to appease the public. Like the Mahdia, we're going to hold a commission of inquiry. Now, even before the commission of inquiry is held, they are negotiating with the families for compensation. So what is the purpose of the inquiry? You have
Well,
a major player, the Minister of Home Affairs, Priya Manik Chan, who commissioned the report from UNICEF. UNICEF flagged some of those
mm,
hazards
mm,
in the building. They were not
mm,
addressed. And she's not made to give evidence in front of the inquiry.
no,
So
no.
what are we talking about? What are we? She said, oh, it's the responsibility of the Ministry of Local Government. And you don't have anybody from the local government who gave evidence in this
Who was
inquiry.
called? No,
So what are
no.
we doing? I'm disappointed that some of those persons who conducted the inquiry, I had great respect for them, and I thought they would have they would have done better, because I
They're
said
related. They're
that
related to Judas, man. A couple
there
pieces
is
of
no way. I
symbol.
said there is no way you can hold an inquiry like that and not call the Minister of Education to give evidence. No way you can have a credible investigation, a credible inquiry like that, and not call her to give evidence. Let them come and let them. I always like it, to say, let them come. Let them take up whatever religious book they go by, whether it's the Bible, the Quran, the Gita, or even if they make an affirmation instead of swearing, let them go and sin the soul, man. Let them come to the inquiry and let them lie. And then you catch them in the lie and embarrass them.
But Paul, we're talking about all of those millions and hundreds of millions of dollars that have been spent for inquiries. Money's wasted on friends, families, and cronies. But you got public servants who are suffering. You can't increase public servants' salary. You're finding monies to do all kinds of madness, but you can't find monies to increase public servants' salary. But we await those reports from those commission of inquiries. Mr. Attorney General, we await those reports from the commission of inquiries. And I want to speak directly to those commissioners who were there. If you're worth your salt, then you should demand that the reports you submitted, that they should be made public. If you're worth your salt, demand that they be made public, because we cannot continue to live in hide and seek and hide and seek. We got GPL right now playing 1, 2, 3 red light with us. 1, 2, 3 red light, they're playing with us. I mean, during the Christmas holidays, plenty of people had candles, but they didn't give us any kind of blackout during the Christmas. But right now, it's 1, 2, 3 red light, 1, 2, 3 red light, 1, 2, 3 red light. And you know what? The second-hand generators come, The second-hand generators are here. Millions of dollars were spent for them. They're here, still blackout. And when we're having these blackout, is the whole of Demerara Berbice. Whole of Demerara Berbice, same time blackout. I don't know what is happening with this bishop. It seems as if the supernatural powers from the cemetery, it gone over by GPL now, so it's affecting GPL and the operations. At one time we heard, the coalition had old machines. The coalition, the generators, the coalition paid for generators and they didn't collect them. And then you heard, the coalition, they weren't maintaining. Now you are there for 3 years would have passed, and we having more blackouts than we ever had. And rather than these ministers coming out to say to the nation, well, look, we know we're messing up, but we can fix it right. We can do this, we can do that. They're ready to talk up, they're ready to cuss out what the coalition didn't do, what the coalition was supposed to do. The coalition failed. Everything is the coalition bad. Just the other day, I published those great David G. buses that they got rotting on the quarantine and in Madi and all over other places. And you know what I said? It's old buses David Granger had. Old buses, and they didn't maintain them. But these very old buses were working all the time. They were working all the time. These people from Priya, I know she doesn't like when I call her name. And she would go there and get her minions to make all kind of stupid memes. But Priya, I'll call you out every time, because the education of our children is important. Your children were at private schools. Your daughter is at Queen's College, and you wouldn't allow certain things to happen at Queen's College. Why are you allowing it to happen, especially in Region 10? Look, just the other day, I saw the parents from Albion Back Nursery and Primary complaining about the street that they got to walk in. I know one, Ejil and Deodati name, Indar. I don't know what they're doing. Millions upon millions of dollars these people wasting. Who ain't get big mansion by the time they became minister? Couple of months after, you see they're putting up big mansions. I don't know where they work for it, but The people of this country are suffering. But yes, like our viewer is saying, God is looking down on them. But Paul, before we go, before I allow you to go, this thing here with the president. I mean, during Granger's time as president, we always used to have the big cuss out. Granger don't have press conference. He having press conference. Do we get press conferences coming from Irfan Ali?
Press conference. I have noted certain people have a phobia for microphones. They can't go near to the microphone. The man who is in the commissioner chair, the extended squatter, following the matter with the police Bascom, he and Blanham ran out to the press conference, which turned out to be a stress conference. And since then, the man is afraid to go by the mic. He made an attempt not so long ago, and when he go and he's telling people that Guyana is 83 square miles. And every time he goes before the mic, there's a problem. So I think he must have been advised to stay far from the mic. The president is the same thing. So what we have, today is Wednesday, tomorrow, at sometime tomorrow afternoon, you'll have a song. Those people, I tell you, check YouTube. There's a song by the Mighty Duke, I think it is. Woman Bacchanal is a song, one of my favorite calypsos. This is a song where Enid and Shimakume abusing out, right? That is what you have every Thursday. A big bacchanal just the other day with Enid and Shimakume. Big bacchanal the other day with Enid and Shimakume. I don't want to hear so passing straight. A fella pull me and tell me wait. Same time Enid husband come off the bus, is now the Makume start to cuss. Yeah, check out the song. This is what happening. Big news out. He can abuse Bork tomorrow again. He goes there and he call Cathy Hughes a lowlife, and that is what he does. So that is a press conference you're gonna have. There's no need for the president to go to any press conference, and the man can lie. This man said publicly that they're gonna go after social media influencers. And following the pushback now, Nandlal, I saw a letter yesterday from Leslie Ramsamy. He himself, the vice president, they ain't going after social media influencers. It's people who commit crime, extortion, and all that. But he said so, it is there. Just like when he said that we can give Venezuela a passage, we can give them a little concession. And he denying, but those things are on record. Those things are on record.
Where he promised to give a channel to Venezuela.
Yeah, that is what he said. So look out. So the president isn't going to have any press conference. When he had one not so long ago with Kit Nascimento as a moderator, they limit the media to, I think, one question. They limit the people to asking one question. And by the time they ask the one, they get all the people who they set up to ask the questions, and then no more time over.
No more questions.
That is what is happening. That is what is happening.
Yeah.
Right?
So
look, talking about press conferences. You had this meeting in St. Vincent. No press conference, no address to the nation, nothing. Nothing. So where are we?
But Paul, the thing is, they were abusing Granger about press conferences. Irfan don't have press conferences. He doesn't have weekly, fortnightly, or monthly press conferences. But we got the one there, the vice president. I can't say what I want to say.
The second vice president, please. The second vice president, according to the Constitution.
The second vice president, when he should not have even been a vice president.
Correct.
His theme song is Rickford, Bork, Melly Mel, social media influencers, Norton, Paul Slow, Gordon Mosley, Travis Chase. That's his theme song. And all he can do is cuss. And you can't believe anything that these people say to you. Nothing you can't believe that they say to you. Irfan Ali told us before he left this country, I will not be speaking anything about the controversy that we're having. No discussions on that. But yet we see the Mangos sit down and sign the Argyle Agreement. And you sign the Argyle Agreement, and then you turn around and you allow the British to come with their warship or whatever they come here with. And then we got the US coming here now to have discussions with the Guyana Defense Force. I mean, we don't have a problem with that, but the timing is wrong, because all you're trying to do is to instigate madness coming from Maduro. And Maduro is speaking out against these things and he's pointing them out. I hope when Maduro start lashing out again, people are not going to say Maduro wrong. All we are doing is agitating the man when we should not be doing that. You go and sign a peace deal, keep the peace. But, you know, in my own estimation, there is much more to that than we are hearing. That's why they can't come to tell us anything. But Paul, I'm going to take your closing remarks before we go, because there's another assignment. So we're going to take your closing remarks, and I want to thank you for always, you know, being ready and willing to give the kind of information to our public, because our people are interested in what is happening. They are no longer docile because we have social media, and at the click of a button, they can find out anything that they want to know.
And thanks for the opportunity to come and bring the information to your viewers. And as you rightly pointed out, I have been taking every single opportunity I get to make sure that the truth is put out there, the truth. And I have said to people, if they want to challenge anything that I say, they're free to do so. You would have recognized, and I'm sure the viewers would have recognized, I have records. So when I talk about dates and time and places, I have record. I'm a former senior police officer, well-trained, not like the ones that you have now, well-trained. And therefore, I know about memorializing things and all of that. So when I speak, and I dare them. And it's just wicked and vindictiveness. And folks, as you can see in the background there, speaking out, I encourage you to go on YouTube, go on Facebook. You're going to see all the episodes there, speaking out, exposing corruption, incompetence. I am there Mondays and Wednesdays. The recordings are on YouTube. Myself and my colleague, Mr. Clinton Conway. And you can bring yourself up to date with all that has been happening in the courts with our matters, other issues in Guyana, especially as it relates to the police. We are going to bring them to your attention. So again, thanks for the opportunity to be here and to talk to your viewers.
You know, I see these trolls on our program all the time, and I'm happy that they come to be educated, but they're so bent in their madness that nothing sometimes doesn't clear their vision. Their vision is so blocked with the views out and the lies and the corruption that they don't see anything. But we're happy when they come on our program. And I want to remind them that this border issue is not a political issue, but when wrong things are done, we have to speak about it. If the president tells us here that he's not going to speak about the border controversy when he goes to St. Vincent, and then he turns up in St. Vincent and is being bamboozled and sign us away on a plea deal or on some peace deal, then we got to be worried. We got to ask questions. We got to talk about it, because if the president is going to go so far to lie to us, then he and Jagdio and all of them in the same category. Now, we can't believe anything that they're saying. But viewers, we want to thank you every time when you tune in to listen to us, because we bring you the truth and nothing else but the truth. And we will continue to speak out. We will continue to advance the cause. We will continue to expose all the corruption. You see them sand trucks for one of my good friend gets, your name begin with P. Them sand trucks that is be engaged in doing other business, government business, and getting big contracts. I can talk about it another day. But for now, tonight, be good, stay safe on the road. Don't join the bandwagon that bought house in Pradoville, built a house in Pradoville. If they buy it for $2, then they sell it for $100 million. Then they went to Pradoville too and buy a next piece. And now I hear they're living at Windsor Castle, somewhere there in Windsor Castle they're living now. We want to know where these people get all these monies from. Maybe their families used to send monies in barrel, like a former minister said. Their families used to send barrel. But for now, you take care. Be safe, be good Guyanese citizens, and remember, we have a motto that says, one people, one nation, one destiny. Paul, thank you so much for being with us here again. And viewers, we'll see you again next week at 6:30 for more on advancing the causes. God bless you.